Today, we are jumping right into something big. We're talking about Islamic eschatology. We're going to break down the absolutely world-shattering events that are said to happen right before the Day of Judgment.
All right, let's start with a really wild thought. Islamic tradition says this isn't just some metaphor or a story. Nope. This is supposed to be one of the last absolute, undeniable signs that everything is about to change forever. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. It's how all these events are sorted. Islamic sources basically put the signs of the end times into two big buckets. You've got the minor signs, which are more like these slow-burn social and moral shifts that happen over centuries. In fact, a lot of people believe many of these have already happened. But then you have the major signs, and these, whoa. These are the big, supernatural, world-altering events that are supposed to happen one right after the other, like dominoes falling. It's the signal that the final countdown is on.
So you're probably wondering, how does this final epic chapter of our story kick off? Well, according to the sources, it doesn't actually start with total chaos. It begins with a righteous leader showing up, right when the world is absolutely filled with injustice and oppression. This leader is called al-Mahdi, which literally means the guided one. He's described as a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, and his whole mission is to unite the Muslim world and bring back justice. You could say he's this symbol of hope, a promise that no matter how bad things seem, justice and guidance are going to win out in the end.
Yeah, and this quote really just nails the heart of his mission, doesn't it? The traditions talk about his rule as this short but amazing golden age, a time of total fairness and peace, which is a massive change from all the tyranny that was happening right before him. But here's the thing, this peace won't last.
Because just as things seem to be getting better, this period of justice is completely shattered. It's shattered by what Islamic tradition calls the fitnah, the absolute greatest trial humanity will ever have to face. And this trial, it comes in the form of a single man. He's known as the Dajjal. It's an Arabic word that means great deceiver. He's basically the Antichrist figure in Islam. He shows up and eventually he's going to claim to be God himself. Think about it. He's the ultimate test of faith. It's your spiritual belief versus his incredible power and his mind-bending deception.
And get this, the sources say that God will actually allow him to perform things that look exactly like miracles. We're talking making it rain in the desert, making plants grow instantly, even pulling treasures right out of the ground. And he does all this during a time of famine and chaos, so you can imagine how many people would be tempted to follow him.
Okay, so picture this. The Dajjal is at the absolute height of his power. Believers are on the brink. It seems like all hope is lost. And that's when, in this incredible plot twist, Islamic tradition says a prophet makes his return to earth. And that prophet is none other than Jesus, or Isa ibn Maryam in Arabic. He's said to descend from the heavens with one mission, to stop the Dajjal. The sources are pretty specific. They say he'll hunt down and defeat the Dajjal at a place called Lod in Palestine. And that quote you see, breaking the cross and killing the swine, that's symbolic language for his mission to clear up any false ideas about him, to set the record straight that he's a messenger of God, not God himself.
So the Dajjal is defeated, peace is back under Jesus. You think it's over, right? Wrong. The trials are not done. The world then has to face another threat, and this one is just a force of nature.
This threat is Gog and Magog, or in Arabic, Yajuj and Majuj. The Quran talks about them as these two, barbaric hordes, these huge tribes of people that were sealed away a long time ago behind a giant barrier by a just king named Dhul-Qarnayn. Well, at the end of time, that barrier is going to come crashing down. Gog and Magog are let loose, and they just swarm over everything. We're talking numbers so massive that they supposedly drink entire lakes dry as they pass. They're this unstoppable force that pretty much represents the total collapse of civilization. Prophet Jesus and the believers, they have no choice but to retreat to a mountain and just pray until God steps in and miraculously wipes out the hordes. All right, so after all these epic battles with human-like figures are done, the signs go cosmic. We're talking on a planetary scale, and these aren't just random things happening. They're seen as messages written across the heavens. It's a signal that reality itself is shifting, and now there's no turning back. The sources actually list a few of these final cosmic signs. First, a huge smoke that covers the entire world. Then, 3 massive landslides, like the earth just sinking in on itself. One in the east, one in the west, and one in Arabia. And to top it all off, a giant fire is said to come out of Yemen, basically herding the last of humanity to where they're supposed to gather.
And in the middle of all this chaos, something truly strange happens. An incredible creature, something no one has ever seen before, literally comes out of the ground. It's called Dabat al-Ard, the beast of the earth. And it has a very specific, very final job to do.
So, what's its job? Well, first, it's going to talk to people, basically calling them out for not truly believing in God's signs. And second, it's going to physically mark every single person on the planet. This isn't about punishment, though. It's more like a final sorting. The time for being on the fence or hiding what you truly believe, that's over. Everyone gets labeled, clear as day.
But the biggest, most dramatic, most undeniable sign of all, the one we kicked this whole thing off with, is the day the laws of nature flip upside down for everyone to see. And that Quranic verse you're seeing is tied directly to this moment. The Prophet Muhammad explained it like this: when that sun rises from the west, the door of repentance slams shut. For good. Believing out of pure shock at that point, it's too late. The test is officially over.
Okay, so after hearing all of that, you have to ask, what's the point? Why are these incredible and, let's be honest, pretty terrifying prophecies even part of Islamic belief? Is the goal just to scare everyone?
Well, the sources are actually really clear on this. The point isn't to paralyze you with fear. It's supposed to be a motivator, a huge one. It's a call to look inward, to focus on doing good things, and to ask for forgiveness before your own personal clock runs out or before the world's clock runs out.
And this teaching from the Prophet, man, it just perfectly sums up the real takeaway. It's saying that your job is to live with purpose, with hope, and with a sense of duty right up to the very last second. The message isn't sit around and try to predict the end. The message is keep building, keep contributing, keep doing good, right up until the very moment it all comes to an end.